Life is not easy. They didn't ask to be here. You didn't ask to be here. Your mama ain't, your daddy ain't asked to be here. So important to feel every emotion because you don't want to block out anything that may come back that you haven't healed from or dealt with because you haven't addressed it or acknowledged it. Like, what helped me is like, I would just be like, in a year, it's not even gonna matter. I would still be in love. Some days I wouldn't. Some days I want to get back. Some days I want to reach out. But I just knew, like, Alexis, what are you going to benefit from this? I would be praying like, God, please take this feeling away from me in the name of Jesus. Please. Hey y'all, it's SheSoHollyhood with Hollyhood Politikz Podcast by Alexis Simone, where we discuss real, raw, true, and uncut, God, good gossip, hot tea, and perfect points. Hollyhood Politikz, Politikin The Right Way. Catch up, keep up, because you don't want to miss an episode. Cheers, y'all. Welcome back to Hollyhood Politikz. We are on episode 2 today. I got me a little something in my cup, okay? For the kids, it's lemonade. For the grown-ups, it's Cutwaters, okay? So, let me get my mic. Can y'all hear me? Ooh, that sounds way better. Okay, y'all, so today I'll be holding my mic and my drink, okay? And we're in our pajamas. We coming real, raw, true, and uncut. Another sip to that. Cheers. So, y'all, today I just really want to touch on the topic of motherhood. This topic really, like, came to me within the past couple of days because it's like, wow, I am really superwoman. Like, people look at me as superwoman, and I just be like, I don't think they know what they're talking about. Like, this is regular. But now that I look back, like, I'm literally superwoman. Literally. Cheers to that. Let me put this down. So, y'all, I really see, like, I'm superwoman. Like, I'm making it happen. I'm doing what needs to be done, okay? And I'm always, like, having a way made. Thank God. And, you know, just doing whatever it takes to get the task done, no matter how many tasks you have, is superwoman, okay? And I just think to myself, like, how do you get all this done? Like, you're doing all these things. And people tell me, like, girl, I know you have a lot going on, so I didn't really want to bother you. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, what do I have going on? You know, like, sometimes we're so caught up in the moment that we don't even know that we're doing all of these things. You know, it just becomes like a routine. So as I look at me as a mother, and especially like as a single mother, it's so easy to be caught up in the moment. And then when you finally like get that break or you reach that burnout point in your life, you start to see like, okay, well, it's giving that I am superwoman, you know? So I've got that a lot within the past couple of days, and I really wanted to come to you guys and talk to you about it because literally it's not easy. I don't know who told y'all or who signed us up on the it's easy list, but baby, no, absolutely not. It's literally not easy. It literally takes like so much to even just get the job done. But like I said, it becomes such like a routine that you don't even know until it all just fucking hits you. You feel me? So I became a single mother probably, I would say, 2021. I don't remember. Shit. It's been a long time. It's been 1 year too many. Okay. So I became a single mother a while back, and my son, I love him to death. He is like the life of the party. He's so intelligent. He knows everything, literally. He knows more than me sometimes, but it's just like he don't be applying himself, Smokey. You feel me? So, you know, as a single mother and me being a mother, and I'm not a man, I don't have that father, you know, yeah. You feel me? So it's like sometimes as a boy mom, the boys want to try you as if you can't give them that that a dad could give. You feel me? So sometimes I be having you know, during this journey of motherhood, and it's not easy. So, you know, becoming a single mother, and especially as a boy mom, like I stated, is very difficult for me because boys are trying. So for all of my boy moms out there, or single dads that have a girl, I could only imagine what you go through. You feel me? So I just feel like boys are so trying that they don't even give a fuck. Like, when you send the boy with their dad, they have a whole different get down. Like, they don't even be trying some of the stuff that they try with you as a mother. Let me say that louder for the people in the back. They don't be trying stuff that they would try with their daddy, with the mama. Okay? So, imagine being a superwoman and you got this trying kid. So it's like, how do you navigate through all of that, everything that you have going on, everything that you deal on a daily basis, and don't even talk about, you know, God forbid, if you and the other parent don't get along. You feel me? So a child that knows that, like, they know that they have a household that is broken, or a household that, you know, with two separate, you feel me? They know that they can get away with a lot because of that. Oh, dad ain't here, let me do this. Something that I would never do with dad. Because they know they can get away with it. So I had to tell my son the other day, like, Cash, I have the whole world on my shoulders. I'm doing everything by myself. Do you not see that? You 6, but I know you see it's just me and you out here thugging it. So what are you doing? Like, you want to make it harder for me as a parent? Like, why are you having these type of complications at school when you know better? You wasn't raised to do any of the things that you're doing. So it's just like, you want to fuck with me. Okay, 6-year-olds be wanting to fuck with you in parenthood. Okay, let me drink to that. Okay? And, you know, Cash sees me every day. I'm going to work. I'm going to school. I've graduated, and he saw that. I've been back in school. I'm going to be graduating again. So he's seeing all of the things that I've gone through. He's seen me be attacked. He's seen a lot, you know. And it's just like, kids don't really let that register in their brain until they get older. And so as he's getting older, I'm starting to see, like, he can see, like, some of the, you know, stuff that really matters to an adult, you know, bills is due, you know. So I feel like he's starting to see, but, you know, for the times that he doesn't see, or, like, you know, on this journey of being a single parent that he doesn't understand yet, I feel like he's starting, as he gets older, to see, like, okay, this is mom. She's definitely superwoman. She's definitely strong. You know, and you don't think, like, when you get pregnant with, you know, your significant other or whatever, or you get your significant other pregnant, you don't think, like, okay, we could possibly break up, because you're so in the moment, and this is your person during this moment, and you guys are in love probably, or whatever the fuck, you know. And it's just like, during those moments, you don't realize, like, we could potentially break up. Like, this might not be forever how we thought it was gonna be, like, you know. So that definitely, like, plays a role in motherhood, because once that breakup is done, it's like, you're kind of on your own until you guys could come to, like, a common agreement to, you know, do things for the child, or make sure that everything is, you know, hey, this is for cash only, you know. So I will say that, like, becoming a mother was so, like, satisfying, because it's like, okay, I'm gonna have a team, like, we all gonna be a family, like, that's gonna make it so much easier. That's how I was raised, you know, to, you know, be family oriented. And then so once you see that that's not the case, it's like, okay, it gotta click. Like, this is me and my child. This is what we're gonna be doing. We gonna have to figure it out. Tuition is $600. Check was $5. What the fuck we gonna do? You feel me? Like, you know, it's just certain things, like, you just figure the fuck out. You don't know how you do it, but you know that you have to do it. You know that you have to eat. You gonna make that dinner whether you feeling like shit or not. Baby gotta eat. So it's just little things that come with motherhood that you just like get automatically. You're on an automatic routine. You're not thinking about it. You know, the baby got to eat. You know, you're going to do what it takes to make sure that baby eat. You know, the baby got to go to the good school. You're going to make sure they go to the good school. You know, no matter how much it costs, you have to just figure it the fuck out. You feel me? So I feel like motherhood is being a superwoman. Motherhood is figuring the shit out, even when you don't have shit to figure shit out with. You know, excuse my language, but I'm just trying to be crystal clear, okay? And so you don't think about that when you're in that relationship. You know, you only think about it after, or like when you ain't got no other person to turn to, like how I'm gonna get this done. I'm supposed to be having a partner that I'm supposed to be doing this with. You know, we ain't together, so what we gonna do? You feel me? So, I mean, to just be able to figure stuff out as a person in general without help or with help or limited help, like just period, it's hard, you know? Life is not easy. They didn't ask to be here. You didn't ask to be here. Your mama ain't, your daddy ain't asked to be here. So, you know, everybody's just figuring it out. And I just feel like that's the beauty of it, to figure it out and then really like sit back and be like, I did that. I paid that. I made that dinner, you know? And then sometimes like in the beginning of the breakup, I'll speak on this. You're just like so depressed and fucking devastated. Like, you'll eat whatever, like you'll just do whatever that makes you feel good to help you forget about that moment. At least that's what I went through. You feel me? So it's like, I want a donut, that's what I want, and that's gonna make me feel better. I'm going to eat that donut. Or I want to go outside and shake some, you feel me? Like, that's what I'm gonna do. And so that journey after that breakup with the baby, and you keeping the baby, and the baby is in your household, you gotta do it up, because your baby's gonna feel those emotions. You know, you gotta pull yourself together to make sure that you can take care of the baby. And it's just really not fucking easy. And I think back and I'm like, wow, I really am superwoman. Like, people from the outside looking in, they see something different than what you see, because you're in the middle of it, you're in the midst of it, you're going through it yourself. You're not on the outside, you're not taking time to be on the outside to see, you know, okay, bitch, what are you doing? You know? So it's like that time after that breakup, when you're not over that person, that shit is serious, okay? You know, like there was times where I would just want to sleep all day. I didn't feel like cooking shit, okay? I would be like, I wish they were older so they could cook for me, like, you know? And sometimes I didn't even have an appetite, you feel me? So it's just like something clicks in your head like, okay, bitch, it ain't just you no more. You got a whole human being. You got to wrap it up. You got to put these feelings to the back. And that's what I noticed that I did. Like, I never healed until just recently. Like, I've never healed from my breakups. I've always just moved on, or like never acknowledged it, like just put it in the back of my head, like, I don't have time for that. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to be on that type of time. I don't want to worry about this. Let me throw this in the back and keep it pushing. You know, that's what I really do. And like sometimes I would internalize things. So like I would really say like what helped me is my baby. But like for the single people who don't have a baby, not single people, but like, you know, for the people that ain't parents yet, I feel like it might be a little harder, because it's like, okay, it's just me. I don't really have nothing that I, you know, am fighting for or have to make sure is good. Like, it's just me. But if you're a mother or a father, you know, you have that human being that you got to make it happen for. Rather, when it's just you, you know, it's more, you could be more lackadaisical, if that makes sense. So, you know, I'm like, I got this baby. I don't want him feeling my pain. So let me get my shit together, you know? And my baby's the empath. So anytime I'm going through something or feeling like something, he literally knows. Can't hide it, can't fake it. It's just what it is. You feel me? So, I will say that journey right after the breakup, it's like you feel all of these feelings because it's fresh. But I'm telling you, like, what helped me is, like, I would just be like, in a year, it's not even gonna matter. So let me just keep pushing and let me hurry up and reach that year or that month or however long I feel like it's gonna take, or like next week, like whatever it is. I just be like, I'm gonna get there. You know, this too shall pass. And not to be a pastor or nothing, but God, y'all, like, I would be praying, like, God, please take this feeling away from me in the name of Jesus. Please, like, heal me. Please let me get my shit together, because I cannot be in this state of mind. I'm literally losing my mind. There was times that I wanted to check into a freaking psych ward. There was times that I've typed up paragraphs to send to my mom and I just never pressed send because it was that hard. Like, y'all know I be getting emotional. But I don't want to cry, but it's just so deep, like, you know, and I've been through a lot. Like, the breakups that I go through are not just like, oh, he cheated, or, you know, it be some real serious stuff going on, and nobody knew. Nobody be knowing. You know, we tend as women to internalize things because we're just so fucking independent, clock it, that we just feel like, okay, well, we ain't gonna talk about it. You know, we good, we got ourselves, we bossed up, you know, we're just gonna keep going. And me, like, I would keep myself busy to the point where I would feel so overwhelmed. But at the end of the day, that person that I just had that breakup with wasn't even a thought. You feel me? So I just feel like if you preoccupy yourself with things, it's kind of like a cover up, you know? And you're covering up these feelings and these emotions because you're tired of dealing with that pain that comes from it, or you're tired of feeling, you know, whichever way that breakup made you feel. And obviously, you know, most of the time it's not a good feeling. So, you know, during that time, you just try to cover up those wounds. And I don't agree with that. Like looking back, you know, I've been through some more things after that with other people, but it's like, looking back, you don't want to cover up things. So this past time, you know, with everything that I was going through, not gonna get into that, but I will say that taking the time to heal from whatever, you know, I went through was like a golden ticket from the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie, okay? Because you get to, like, depict everything that happened. You get to depict the whys, the whats, you know, the whos, and everything of that sort, you know, the hows and all that. So I feel like when you get the time to dissect and depict and observe what you went through, it really opens up the mind to understand, okay, this was my season with that person and it ended. So this is why it ended. And during this, I noticed this. Like, you start noticing all the things that you were originally blind to or being delulu over after the breakup, because you get that time from that person, you know, y'all apart. And then the whole thing about reaching back out, I tried to do like this 30-day no contact thing, and I'm like, this is not gonna work because obviously this is fresh. I still have feelings for the person. So let me see what the hell I can do, because I know this situation ain't good for me. It was probably a sign that I was given from God as to how I got out this situation, you know. So that was probably a sign. Like, you just gotta look at all the signs and all the whys, and you'll start adding everything up, and then you'll be like, baby, 2 + 2 really do equal 4. You feel me? So I just love the fact of just letting your emotions flow. Like, today, I feel like laying in my bed, and that's what I'm gonna do. Today, I feel like talking to them, and I know that ain't what I'm supposed to do. So let me go to my notes and type what I would tell them, or what I would say, or how I do feel, or how I want them to know how I feel. Like, I had to literally do that. I was literally on ChatGPT. Let me tell you, I'm one of them emotional weirdo girls after the breakup where I cannot fucking function. I'm just gonna be honest, 100%, so I'm on ChatGPT, like, what do I do when I want to, like, it just be so heartbreaking, emotional. Like, you could talk to your family and friends, but they're not going to get it because they're not really in your shoes. Like, they probably been in similar situations, but they're not going to actually get it until they're actually in your shoes, actually dealing with this person, actually seeing and living with the person and knowing what they're about and how they move and whoopty wah wah wham. You feel me? So I just feel like talking to family members wasn't gonna work for me. Like, I had to talk to myself sometimes. I had to write in my notes. Like I said, I was on ChatGPT trying to figure it out. I had to journal. I had to pray. I had to look up scriptures. I got to do with moving on and breakups. Like, anything that I can do, I was doing it. Starting a new business, starting this podcast, like whatever I felt like I wanted to do, I was literally doing. But I made sure that I felt every emotion. And it's so important to feel every emotion because you don't want to block out anything that may come back that you haven't healed from or dealt with because you haven't addressed it or acknowledged it. And so once you acknowledge and address things, I just feel like you feel so much better. Like, okay, this is why, this is where they were wrong, this is where I was wrong, this is how I'm gonna move forward with this is what I'm gonna do. I was showing up to church, I was at that altar, I was crying, whatever I needed to do, I was letting myself do it. Some days I would still be in love, some days I wouldn't, some days I would want to get back, some days I would want to reach out, but I just knew, like, Alexis, what are you going to benefit from this, from doing this, from reaching out, from contacting them, from going to see them, from letting them come see you? Like, what is the benefit from this? You feel me? And so I just feel like that healing journey is so important. You cannot move on. You cannot be in another relationship. You cannot go see the next person until you are fully healed and over that person, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to carry what you had in that past relationship and all them issues and all that healing that you needed to do from those issues. That's going to carry over into your next relationship. And that's where it becomes a problem. Because now you have this other person that you're not giving them the proper opportunity to even be with you or to even see what it's like to have you, because you're carrying stuff from the past. You're not in that healing journey. And so once you get in that healing journey and you do some self-acknowledgement and you see what you don't want in the next man, honey, baby, you gonna be coming out of that healing journey a brand new person. You're gonna be ready. You're gonna be ready for Chris Brown. Okay? So I say all that to say, like, we go through these things as mothers or as fathers or as human beings in general, and we don't allow ourselves to acknowledge what the hurt is, what the childhood trauma is, and we tend to carry that over into our daily lives, the way we move, the way we operate, what we listen to, who we hang around. It's kind of like a habit. And I just feel like once you acknowledge and break down those habits or, the trauma, then you're able to move on peacefully. You're able to say, okay, I acknowledge everything that went on, that happened in that relationship. Now I'm ready for something new. I'm ready to leave that baggage behind, out with the old and in with the new, okay? And so that just goes to show you, like, once you get over that little healing journey, you just become superwoman again. You're able to give your child your best, whatever the fuck you have to give. You're there, you're showing up, you're involved. You're not like, okay, watch this iPad because I ain't feeling today. So it's just like you're not putting them off. You're just your best self. You're mentally aware, and you're just healed. and it's like, once you healed and you look back on what you was tripping off over, it's just like, girl, that's not even that serious. Like, and it's just because we're in the moment and the feelings are fresh. And so I don't wish any pain of a breakup on anybody. It feels like death. And I know y'all know. You feel me? So I'm just saying all that to say, like, I noticed that I'm a superwoman. And sometimes it takes other people to tell you. And sometimes it takes a break for you to see, like, I've done all of this month. And I've been through all of this. And I'm still making it happen. So that's definitely a superwoman. And I definitely wanted to just dismiss myself off of earth. Not on like no suicidal stuff, but it's just like you go through things that you just really don't want to deal with. And it's like, can I just sleep this off for a few months? You feel me? And so once you get out of it, it's just amazing. And I just want to say that it takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. Sometimes people take years to get over people. Sometimes people take months. Sometimes people take weeks and days. I got homegirls that be like, girl, have a new man by the night, you know? But I'm not on that type of time. I don't have those type of emotions. I've never have. I've always been like a very lover girl, submissive or whatever. But I just noticed how it affected my child, and we have to be, how do I say this? We have to be aware of how what we go through affects people around us. And I didn't realize that until like my attitude would be like so horrible towards people, or like everything that I was dealing with, those emotions from that situation was coming out of me towards other people. And then it's like, I gotta check myself, because it's like, okay, where are these emotions stemming from? What's going on? You know, you gotta really look at how I said the who's, the what's, the why's, the where's, you know, all those. And so I just noticed, like, as long as you give yourself that time, that grace, you know, you stay prayed up, it'll pass. And you're gonna be like, dang, I was really like sleeping all day, crying over dude, and he wasn't even worth it. And that girl, she was a hoe, she was tripping, and I was crying over her, and I didn't really need her. Like, you know, you just start becoming way more aware. And I just feel like I said, having those people to talk to is helpful, but they just don't understand like how you understand. 9 times out of 10, you don't even want to hear what they got to say, because it's just nothing that, you know, you would want to hear, because you're still caught up on the breakup, and they're just trying to get you out and trying to be helpful. So it's just like you have to pick and choose who you want to talk to, how you want to reveal the information to them. Sometimes, like me and my best friend were talking about, sometimes what we go through and all the information that we have to share about what we go through is too much for the other person. So we check in, like, is it okay if I tell you this, or what's going on today? And then we just kind of like open up that door for us to get whatever it is off our chest. But we make sure that we can come in that door before we just start spilling. Like, you know, you don't want to spill too much on a person and then they get fucking overwhelmed, and then we all have our personal issues that we go through. So it's like, I gotta deal with that and hearing all that, you know. So it's just like, sometimes you gotta get through by yourself. Like, nobody's gonna be there for you like you could be there for yourself. I noticed that as a single mother, you don't get that space. You don't get that space. You don't get that time really to have that healing journey. So it's very important to be able to learn how to navigate through whatever it is while you are a parent, you know, because your child will feel those emotions. It'll start coming out in school, or, you know, on the day-to-day ways that they function. And it's just like, when you see that, and you see that that situation or that breakup is bothering that child, you like, hold on, we gotta rewind and redo this, you know, because your child is everything. You put your child before yourself as a parent, you feel me? So, you know, once I started to see like it was affecting myself, my family, my child, like, it's like, girl, you gotta wake up at some point. What the fuck are you doing? You know? So once you just like let things be and flow, and things will start clicking in your head and registering, like, okay, this is what I need to do, this is what I'm gonna do, this is how I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna get this shit done, because I don't want to feel like this. I'm like, I don't want to feel like this no more. Like, let me see what I need to do for me, because not only am I feeling like this, but now my child is starting to feel like this. Now it's coming out through them. So, you know, you just got to protect yourself and protect what comes with you that you know is valuable to you. And the child, absolutely top priority. Let me get a drink. That one, top priority. Cash, top priority, baby. Cheers. So let's touch a little bit on when you are in that breakup stage, what to do when you want to reach out. So I know I was saying, like, I would write in my notes what I would want to say to them. And sometimes people be like, that ain't gonna help, like, you know? And then there's sometimes that I have a double and doubt. Well, then I gotta pray, like, oh shoot, like, God, please don't let me go down this path if it's not meant for you in Jesus' name, because I wanna go through everything that you allow me to go through, that you tell me to go through, that's under you and with your path and that aligns with you, because I am scared. I don't wanna hurt like that no more. Like, you just start freaking out, really. And so I was doing that. Like, I was literally talking out loud to myself. I was talking to God. I was journaling, you know, whatever. If I feel like I want to do this and that and F you and whoopty wop wop, I'm writing it down. I'm writing it down, then I'm ripping it up. And I feel better, like, because you just want to get that, you know, little oomph off your chest. Like, I feel like this and I just want to pop it to him and I just want to tell her off, or I want to really, like, you know, give them a piece of my mind. And they don't need that. That is because you are not being strong enough to do what it takes to not entertain and revert back to what you got comfortable to, because it became a daily comfortability habit. I don't even know if that's a word, but maybe that's T. Dude or homegirl became a comfortability habit. Okay? You got comfortable with this person. You've been with this person. You know, it's just like brushing your teeth. Every day, you know, in the morning or before you go to bed, you brush your teeth. At least you're supposed to, okay? So that's what it becomes. Like, when you are in these relationships, it becomes like a habit, a daily routine that you don't have anymore. And you have to break that access. If you gotta block the person, you do that. You know, if you gotta text them from a text now app to tell them how you feel, but they don't, you know, you don't want them to know it's coming from you. Like, whatever it takes, you just don't contact that person, because then you get back into that cycle. Then something else happens, and then something else goes on, and then you just like, well, I should have left a long time ago when I was almost 15 days in with no contact, you know? So it's just like, and they really be the devil. Like, they just like send certain signs, or you'll see something on the street, or you'll smell something that reminds you of that person, and then it makes you want to reach out. Or the pastor be talking about something about relationships, and it makes you want to reach out. Like, you just never know. But if you give yourself that time, I promise you can literally get through it. And it's going to be so hard, but it's going to be so worth it. You have to think about the benefits. You have to think about yourself. You have to think about, if you have a child, how it would affect my child. If you don't have a child, how it would affect my family, how it would affect my daily functioning. You got to run all that down and see, you know, the what's. And so I just thank God for like giving me sanity to even make it through things, especially with the child. And then like sometimes they make it easier, you know, like they'll be loving and kind because they could feel your pain and they can see how you are, and you know what you are going through, they can see. And you know, they give you like a sense of comfort, or you know, like they want to go somewhere, so that gets your mind off of things, you know. So it's just like, you just really got to be in tune, and your mind will become a lot clearer. You know, you just feel better about yourself. And I just feel like as a mother, like we make so many sacrifices, and even as a father, you know, they make sacrifices too, to make sure that their child is at their best. You know, forget how I feel, forget how I look. I want to make sure my child got what they need, and they looking how they need to look and feeling how they need to feel, because at the end of the day, they're gonna grow up and be just as old as you, and they will do what you do, like in a relationship. This is how I saw my mom or my dad do and treat this person, so this is what I'm rolling with. And then sometimes they come with their own characteristics or habits or what have you. But you really got to be careful, because they will pick up certain things and certain habits and certain tactics that they will implement in their life in the future when they're able and capable, you know, and if they get in a relationship. You feel me? So you just got to be a role model for yourself. You got to be a role model for God. You got to be a role model for your family, your kid. You know, you have to get right eventually. So I just know, like, I'm Superwoman. You know, I started businesses, and I started keeping myself busy, and I started making sure, like, you know, what can I do in a day to make it go by faster? What can I do in a day that has nothing to do with this person, but I'm still getting what I need to do done? What business can I start that'll make me some money to not even worry about that person? I could just boss up and buy whatever and do whatever and go wherever. Like, that stuff makes you feel good. You feel me? Like, you have to do whatever it is that makes you feel good, that's outside of that person. I don't know, like, sometimes there's pros and cons when you have a child after breakups. Like, Cash has even asked, like, oh, I want you and daddy to get back together, or oh, I want to be with you, dad, and everybody. Like, you know, like you have to like redirect, like, hold on, playboy, this ain't what we're doing. Like, you'll learn later, but right now, 6-year-old mommy and daddy are not together, you know. So that's the hard part too, like having to tell your kid like no to something that they want. Like, I know that sounds like kind of like on some spoiled type stuff, but I'm saying like for serious things, like, no, you can't have a band-aid because we can't afford band-aids and you're bleeding. Like, you know, like they want their family together, but I have to tell them, no, you know, this is what it is. And then they're wondering like, well, Sarah at school got 2 parents. Well, baby, this ain't Sarah, you know? So just get them to understand where you're coming from without being so harsh. Like, you know, mommy and daddy are not able to be together because, you know, daddy does things that mommy doesn't like and mommy does things that daddy don't like. So, you know, when 2 people are doing things that each other don't like, they probably don't want to be around each other. Like, you know, something of the sort. I'm not saying particularly that, but like, you know, just getting them to understand from a kid perspective. So cheers to motherhood and all the single mamas and all the single daddies that's doing a big one with their baby. It ain't hard, but you know, you can be superwoman and superman as long as you take care of yourself, prioritize, and just have faith and do whatever you feel like you need to do, because you know you don't want to be in no bad situation. You know you don't want to be, you know, feeling like this. You know, you want to feel your best self. So you have to eliminate everything that makes you feel any different than that, you know. So I just want to share one more thing with y'all. Somebody told me, a good coworker of mine who's actually like my work mom, she told me that don't worry about the things that you want to do. Worry about the things that you don't want to do so that you can get what you want to do. And to me, that meant like, stop worrying about, oh, I want all these businesses and I want all this money. Worry about, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be someone that's not an entrepreneur. And when you have that type of mindset, you're going to steer your way away from that, and automatically you're going to get whatever it is that's the opposite of that. But your girl is tired, and as you can see, I'm in my PJs and I got my little. So make sure y'all tune in to the next episode because it's only going to get realer, baby.